welcome to Link to Expert Goodreads Authors Corner with hosts Cece Schatz, doyenne of relationship building, and Joanne Weiland, founder of linktexpert.com, the collaborative cloud community. It's that time to join our authors as they share their journeys and insightful tips, or just explore new opportunities. Together, we transform our lives. And here's Cece and Joanne.
Well, welcome to the show. You're listening to newsstreamingnetwork.com.
Welcome to Link to Expert Goodreads Authors
Okay,
Corner
on WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network. We are so happy to have you here today with us. We're trying something a little bit different, as you can see. Not always go the way we want it to go, but that's the way it is. You guys are listening to the home of GoingBoldMedia.com, and this is the Link to Expert Goodreads Authors Corner. I am one of your hosts here today. I'm Cece Schatz. I'm the doyenne of relationship building, and I have my wonderful good friend here with me, Joanne Weiland. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Joanne Weiland, Wyland, when you can fly. And we are so excited to share with you so many exciting authors. And today we're going to be having Tami Patzer on. Tami Patzer has been a member of Link to Expert for many, many years. And I learn from her all the time. So I'm so excited that she's going to be sharing today about one of her books that's called Go Beyond the bestseller, because so many people I feel like become a bestseller, but then they don't do anything afterwards. So Tami, welcome.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Yes, we're thrilled. I mean, seriously, I get amazed how many people get to bestseller and they get excited, but then it seems like they think it's just going to sell itself. So, but first, before we get into the book, I just wanted to, ask Tami a couple of questions and for our listeners to find. I mean, this woman has done so many things, including even speaking in Cuba. I mean, most people aren't even allowed to get in there. And then she was actually speaking there to a women's group. But she's not only done that, she has just done so many things for so many people that they actually go after her and ask her, Tami, will you work with me? I want to work with you. And I don't know about you, but I don't find many people can tell me that kind of statement that people are after them asking them, but that just shows Tami's incredible ways to help you market yourself, because I personally think that so many people think whatever they do, kind of like that old saying, you build it and they will come. Well, unfortunately, that's not true, especially today where people get bombarded with 100,000 words or more a day. And so how do you stay above the noise? So Tami helps you to consistently and frequently stay in front of people with all different incredible marketing ideas. And we'll be talking more about that later. But Tami, I just thought you might want to give like a brief overview of like why you even started doing all this.
Well, let's just say that I was probably inspired very, very early on by my mother, who was an author and writer. And one of the things that I used to do with her is pretend that I was a radio host and I would interview her, because the big dream was that she was going to become a New York Times bestselling author with her novels. And so, of course, I was really in on that fantasy. And I used to interview her on cassette tape. And a few years ago, I actually found one of those old cassette tapes, and I'm interviewing her about, why did she write this novel that she wrote and everything. So that was how it all started. And then over the years, I went to college and I was very interested in journalism, became a newspaper editor. And in the late or early 2000s, I realized that things were changing. So I got my master's degree and started teaching mass comm at University of South Florida in Tampa and at other colleges in Florida. And of course, about 2004, guess what happened? Facebook. And I started noticing my students were not paying attention. So I walked around the room, and what were they doing? They were playing on Facebook. So I decided I needed to learn how to use social media and the demographics and things like that. And so I actually ended up doing that. And then later I left teaching, and now I've been working with clients around the world since about 2011.
Wow.
Wow,
Congratulations.
yeah.
I you knew to go global early. I mean, because everybody's doing it now, but 2011, it was pretty unheard of. Wow. Well,
Yeah,
thank you so much.
I had a class, a management class. And of course, back then they were talking about the global economy. And of course, I didn't know what that meant at the time. But now I understand a lot of what I was learning is really reflecting what's going on in the world today as far as economics.
Well, I feel like a lot of times we all do get sneak previews, but it depends what we do with those sneak previews. If we think, I'll look at that later, where I feel like since I've known you, you really take what you learn as a sneak preview, meaning that it might not be mainstream yet, but you take that and you actually do something with it. And that's what always impressed me. I mean, one of our other members, Ron Laker on Link to Expert, I mean, he was the one I think that introduced me and to you, and when he had the studio. And I mean, you were so on top of and so excited about, back then again, being on internet TV. And you and Ron got me so excited about it. And that's why I'm so blessed that Cece Schatz over here, my co-host, invited me to be a co-host on 2 of her shows, because I do feel like this is really where it's at. Cece and I were just at PodFest this past weekend with 2,000 podcasters, and they claim podcasting is a $20 billion industry now. So thank God Cece and Tami jumped on the bandwagon early, and now Cece allows me to piggyback off of it, because it really is true. But it's not just the podcasting. Like now what we're doing, we're also on internet TV, like for an example, Roku, YouTube, and all that stuff, as well as podcasting and TV, which I really think is the next leap, according to PodFest, that most people are just doing audio and they just want to start getting into video. And Cece, thank you for, being the pioneer with that as well. So I think the 3 women on this interview today are all pioneers. And like I said, the difference is not just learning about it, but applying it. So thank you, Tami. I mean, you have done so many incredible
I think
things.
what you do, Tami, is great. Let's talk a little bit about, what it takes, because so often people think, okay, I'm going to grab a mic, right? And I'm going to get on and be a podcaster, or I'm going to get on internet. I'm going to start doing some YouTube videos. I'm going to go up on Facebook Live. I'm going to do all that. And then they wonder why they're not successful at it. They wonder why it's not working for them. And, you're kind of the guru of this, right? The publishing, promoting, being an influencer. And so they've got to know that it takes more than just popping your face up or hearing your voice on something. You really have to work at it to be able to get it out into the mainstream, right? So let's talk a little bit about that, about your publishing, promoting, and all that you do. Can you give us some little tips, little nuggets as we're moving forward?
Sure. It's interesting because the video podcasting, like you said, people think that that's up and coming. Well, I've been doing that ever since I started my podcasting. Like I was using StreamYard or YouTube or Zoom to create my interviews. And I've always made sure that I'll do an interview with the video, and I may or may not use it, but I have it because you can use your video and your audio to create more marketing materials. Most of us have what I call digital gold that we're not using. And looking back at how my big claim to fame is back in 2016, I actually I still have it, a podcast called Women Innovators. But I couldn't figure out, like many people, how do I make money with this podcast? I've done 500 interviews with all these women, and maybe I would try to sell them some press releases for leverage, and I would sell a little bit, but nothing was really sticking or helping me to say, okay, I don't have to go get a job. And in 2016, we had the interesting phenomenon that Donald Trump became the president, and many women felt, I am not having my voice heard. And I got mad at God, total transparency, and I yelled and said, look, I don't want to go try to find a job. I can't, I just don't want to go find a job. I need an answer. I need a solution. And the next day I woke up, and it was a Saturday morning, and it was like, turn your podcast into books. And so I actually put a notice out on Facebook saying, I'm going to create some books, Women Innovators, Leaders, Makers, and Givers. Would you like to be in this book? And, send me a DM. Well, by Sunday, I had 64 women who had signed up to do interviews with me to be part of the Women Innovators book series. And because of the way Amazon publishes their books, I turned that into 8 different books with 8 authors per book. So there were still 200 and some page books, but I only had 8 authors. And that was like the launch of going beyond the podcast, going beyond the bestseller, because I turned those books into best-selling books. And that question that Joanne brought up was, what's next? How do I use this book? And so I come from this teaching background. So it was like, okay, so if you want to use your book to become, whatever it is, I have many people, they want to sell products. Maybe they want to be a speaker on the stage. Maybe they want to have their own podcast or show. So I said, okay, the first thing you have to do is let's take what you already have and share it on social media. So here's a big nugget that a lot of people ignore. And it's as simple as pushing that share button. Share the button to the groups you're in, to your friends. Share it to your own feed. Again, people are so worried about bragging when the truth is most people are scrolling. They never see anything. And if they do, maybe they forget. But so one of the big things is use your book or that authority status that your book gave you to share on social media. So I'd say that's one way that you can use your book and that authority celebrity status that you can get from being a multi-author book, or of course having your own book. And if you're a podcast show host, think about all the interviews you've done. You could create books from all these interviews and turn it into digital gold.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I've been saying that for quite some time. I have a book up already with an interview that I had done on Amazon. And so I totally get that. The biggest thing I hear when I'm listening to you is don't be afraid, right? Don't be afraid to get out there and share. Don't be afraid to really open yourself up to new opportunities and really, get beyond yourself, really, and let it out, let all of your information out there. Because let's be real. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that really are looking and needing the information that you're able to share. And those that don't want it, they're just not going to listen, and that's fine. And I've often said, take what you want and throw the rest away. And so it's really important for us to begin doing that, to begin going out and really understanding what we have that we can share with other people. So, I think you're very valued here, Tami. So we love having you here. So tell us a little bit about, so now we're going to take our podcast or our show, right? We're going to drop it down, transcribe it. We're going to put it up in a book and we're going to share it. Then we're going to then do what with it? Is there other things that we can do to?
There's a lot you can do. Like you said, you can, with a podcast, you can transcribe it. You can turn it into books. You can turn it into blog posts. You can, a video podcast, you can chop it up into little video trailers. You can just use your imagination and think about all of the ways that you could use one interview. And you literally can turn that into content that you could probably use one interview and turn it into content for a year if you actually thought about all the ways that you could use that. Another thing that I think a lot of people miss is what I call the press leverage. Press leverage is when you write a press release about your show or about your book or about an interview that you did, or anything that is deemed newsworthy. And that, again, can be anything. If you are interviewed, that's newsworthy. If you interview someone, that's newsworthy. Have a press release written about it and then distribute it. And there's a lot of options with distribution. And most of the time nowadays, it used to be that when you thought about press releases, you were thinking about your hometown newspaper or radio station. Now you're thinking about hometown, expanding out to regional, expanding out statewide, in even national, international. And with the distribution services, you actually can get picked up by ABC, NBC, CBS, CW, multiple newspapers and magazines are out there picking this up because they're all looking for content to feed the internet dragon, I guess is a good way to put it. And the beautiful thing about press releases is you can embed your podcast or your video into that press release. And now you've multiplied that by, let's say, 200, 500, 1,000. And Google and Bing and all of the robots that are out there looking for content, ping it, and now people can find you. So your online footprint will grow, and it will also help push your podcast up in the search engines, your name up into the search engines. The topic you're talking about, it'll move up in the search engines. It can help your website. It can just help you become, again, known as the expert, the authority, the celebrity, and you have that credibility. So when people are looking up your name, for example, they go, let's say they type in Tami Patzer and up comes different information about me, all of my social media, my websites, my podcasts, my Medium blogs, my books. And people go, oh, she's real. And if they want to go back farther, they can go, oh my God, she's been around, for 10 years, 15 years, since the dawn of the internet. So that's, I think, something that people, again, use the power of the press. And I call that a new media mash because we're using all the old school stuff, newspapers, magazines, television, radio, mashing it up with social media and all of the newer media. And you will end up being able to grow that online footprint. Just like Link to Expert is a good example. You can upload your blogs there, your podcasts. You can share it. They share it out to all the people. So that's another way to get what I call found, seen, and heard, because you're just using all of the media, and people love to see things. They love to hear things. Some people are more tactile, but that's another way, again, to go beyond the podcast, beyond the bestseller, and like you said, beyond yourself, and to help you go beyond that fear of being found, seen, and heard. Because if you want to have impact and influence and have more income, which is the bottom line of all of this, you have to get out there. And you have to be consistent.
I'd like to say something about the press release, because I know Joanne and we do the press releases here on our station, and those don't realize how valuable those are. And I will share with you, like years ago, we had a press release was done on me when I first started my podcast. And all of a sudden we got a call. I was doing live radio at the time. And we got a call into the station saying, keep her on. How much longer is she going to be? Keep her on. Don't let her go over her time, but let her stay on the station. So Bay News 9, which is our local TV station, came down and they wanted to do an interview with me being on the radio live and then capturing all that I do and everything. And that then aired during a loop period on a Thanksgiving weekend, which was absolutely terrific for me. So that's what set me off. That press release is what set me off. And so we do them here on our station. They're very, very valuable. And we do charge a small amount for it because it does cost us to do it. But it's so valuable to do that because it really gets you out to all of the press to let them know. And when we attended, podcast, I had my press pass on that I've made, and people looked at me and said, "Oh, you got a press pass?" Like they're thinking they're a podcaster, right? And I've got a press pass. I said, "Well, yeah, I'm in the media. I have a press pass." And so I use my press pass when I go anywhere. I go to a concert, I go anywhere out. I use my press pass because a lot of times I'm videoing or I'm doing a little interview on the spot or I'm doing something different. So I really think that people need to really step out and be bold in what they do, which is part of our going solo network here is going bold. And so I think that's very important. But I love the idea of like what you had mentioned about Link to Expert, putting the information on there. We also have the Going Solo directory, which we also use too as a way of promoting our information. So Tami, you're so spot on with getting yourself out there and doing different things, doing the blogs, doing, the press releases and just really promoting yourself on all platforms. Because so often people think, oh, I'll just do one, social media platform. But no, it takes a village, right? And you need help from everywhere. So you need to be able to get your information out there. So I want to thank you so much for sharing all of this with us because it's valuable information.
Well, I was thinking we could go to a break and then when we come back, talk more about that because I believe there's so much more for our listeners and viewers to learn, but we'll just take a quick break and we'll come back.
And before we do that, I want to share Tami's information because I think it's very important that those are out there that are looking to really, excel, boost yourself. Sometimes you don't know how to do it or you feel like you're a lone wolf, so to speak, doing it. And Tami's right there to be able to help you. So I would like to go ahead and share her information. So you can reach her. Her email is, I'm going to spell it for you so you can write it down. It's TAMARA. Her first name, her last name, PATZER @gmail.com. And then her website is Tami, TAMI. Her last name again is spelled PATZER.com. So please go and check that out. Check out her website, email her, let her know that you heard her here. But what you're going to get is you're going to get a free gift. You're going to get a free gift, Be on TV flip book. And I'm actually reading the book myself. It's fabulous. And so we're going to have it on our show notes. So all you have to do is just press it and click and go into it. But those of you that are listening live here, you just go on mybook.link /flipbook /60B4 ? D, I guess that's an L _1. But any questions at all, you can go into our show notes. You'll get them right there. Or you can, of course, email us and let us know if you didn't get it. We're happy to be able to share that with you. But you don't want to miss out on that free gift on the book. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, you guys, of course, you know you're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the news streaming network.com, home of goingbold.com. So we want to thank you so much for joining us here today on the Goodreads show. I am with my good friend Joanne Weiland, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm John Thomas. I want to share with you a professional products and services directory we call Going Solo Directory. And you need to check this out. If you want exposure to your business or are seeking professional product or services, this directory has it all. And that membership, for the many special features, you get the benefit of a worldwide exposure with a 40-minute video interview on an international business show showcase. All this for just one low annual fee. For more information, contact goingsolodirectory.com.
Welcome back to Link to Expert Goodreads Authors Corner. You are listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the news streaming network.com, home of Going Bold. And I have my good friend here, Joanne Weiland, with me. I am your host, one of your hosts, Cece Schatz, and we've got our wonderful guest here today. We're talking about 5 ways to go beyond the bestseller for impact, influence, and income with Tami, and it's Patzer. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Patzer. Yes. And well, Patzer. Yeah. So if you missed the first part of the show, you've got to go back and listen to it, especially if you're in the field of media. If you're looking to do any kind of videos, podcasting, publishing books, anything like that you want to get out into the media, Tami is really the person that you want to contact because, she does so much stuff. She's been doing it herself. And you know what it takes? Sometimes when we're at the beginning in our career, we get knocked around, right? We do all kinds of stuff that works, that doesn't work. And so that's the type of person that you want to go to build your, whatever services that you're providing in media, because you don't want to go to someone that's just starting out because they don't know the ins and outs of things that that you've experienced. You want to be able to walk in somebody else's shoes and be able to do it right the first time, not the other way. And so Tami's been in the business for a lot of years, knows what she's doing. And so you want to go to an expert that truly does know what they're doing. And that's why we're here on Link to Expert. So Tami, thank you so much for all the information you share with us the first part of the show. So what are we going to talk about the second part, Joanne? You had mentioned we're going to come back and talk.
There's more ways to promote yourself. Like just for an example, like Cece was talking about our press releases. Well, on Link to Expert, we literally have sent one out every single month since 2011 for the last 12 years because of the fact that we know that there are people out there that believe it's gospel truth if they read it in a press release. But we also know then there's other people that would rather read a blog. So then we convert that press release into a blog. Just as an example, Tami does this kind of stuff all the time, and Tami is very active on Link to Expert. If you ever want to, read her blogs or articles or watch her videos and listen to her interviews, you can find them all on tamipatzer.linktoexpert.com. And I'm telling you, it's so amazing. I feel like that people don't realize how easy it is to repurpose whatever you're already doing. And Tami, the other thing, I know I'm hitting on 2 things, but I think you are so valuable because of the fact, like for an example, when you were talking about taking those interviews and making them into books, like I call them anthology books, but meaning more than one person in there. the power of that, everyone, is probably, obvious, but just to restate it, is then all those other 8 authors in this case that she was talking about are also promoting it. So you not only have yourself and Tami promoting it, but 7 other people. And myself too. I was in 3 anthology books and we became #1 international bestsellers each time. But I know it was because of the power of the different people in the book, authors in this case, promoting it, just like Cece and I do that with magazines. We've sent out, 7 different magazines to hundreds of thousands of people. And it's not because one of us knows hundreds of thousands. It's together we know hundreds of thousands. So it's the power of collaboration. So Tami, I know you know how to convert things from one media to another. And I just wondered if there was some other part you wanted to talk about with that. But I'm sure you agree that it's the power also of all of us collaborating, because when she also talked about Link to Expert, our biggest secret sauce is Tami, when she uploads a blog, just as an example, it actually goes to all of her contacts that she has in her Link to Expert database on her 40-page website. But it also then twice a month, it goes on the 1st and the 16th of the month in an e-newsletter that goes to everybody, every member's contacts. And that's really the secret of it, because not only does Tami get in front of her people, just like she was talking about in the beginning of the show about sharing, it's just like clicking on the share button, but not even having to click. It just automatically, anything that happened in those last 2 weeks gets noted on the newsletter, and everybody gets to see about the new book, the new blog, the new podcast. So Tami, I'm going to be quiet now and let you take it.
Well, I just wanted to reiterate that, since you're fresh off of Podcast Fest, and obviously that's really growing 2,000 people. But again, podcasting, you can have your own show or you can be a guest. There's lots of opportunities to be a guest. And again, if you're trying to become known as an influencer, an expert, an authority, if you have a book, that's going to help you get more speaking engagements or get booked on podcasts. But you can literally take those podcast interviews, transcribe them, and turn your interviews into your own book or into the blog. So I think repurposing is something that is really important. And always go back. If I were to give any advice today, I'd say go back and look at all of your blogs, look at your podcast interviews, look at everything you've done, and be consistent in sharing information. Again, leveraging with the press releases is huge. Most people, and I have no idea why, but they're like a one and done or next. Everybody is, oh, I did a press release. Oh, really? When? Oh, a couple years ago. Okay, well, that is probably gone and it's not working for you anymore. Your podcasts and your video interviews, actually, if they're archived properly, will be working for you for years. I used to do a lot of video marketing. I have videos for clients who, excuse me, are out there 10 years and those videos are still working for them because they're still active and being watched on YouTube and on Google. I wanted to talk about television. Okay. Because that is the free gift, is the how to get booked on TV shows. When I'm talking about television, I'm not necessarily talking about what I call the new television, which would be the Roku, the Apple TV, etc. I'm talking about traditional, old-fashioned broadcast TV, where you can go be on a morning show or be on the news, like Bay News 9 was an example. When you're on the news or on a morning talk show and you're interviewed, say on an ABC station, CBS, NBC, about the fact you have this book or about whatever you're the expert in. One of my clients, Tasha Chen, is a money manifestor guru, and she was on television talking about her manifestation board, not a vision board, but manifestation board. And what she did with it, let's say that you're on TV, you have a 5-minute interview on February 14th. Okay, you were on TV February 14th, 5 minutes, it's done. But you take the video, the MP4 or the .mov, use that. Now you transcribe it. You can chop it up into different video pieces for marketing. You can put it on your website. In Tasha's case, she actually took that and shared it. I think she did an email campaign with it. And she also put it on her website and her social media. And that video ended up helping her fill her next class that she had. And her classes, I think she starts from free, going all the way up to $5,000 to $10,000 to $15,000 for some of her programs. So that particular video, 5-minute interview, and we had it. I had her, and here's some tips for TV. We had her wear a dress that had $100 bills on it, which was a prop, obviously. She was wearing her, I don't know the brand, but the ones that have the red soles, the red soled shoes, which I guess are some exclusive shoe. And all of that, of course, presented her as the money manifest person. She was on TV again for 5 minutes on a certain day, but that video ended up being something that she could use literally forever. I have TV appearances that I've done in the past, and that my big claim to fame was I was on TV talking about how to find love on Facebook. I know nothing about how to find love on Facebook. However, I do know how to use Facebook, but it was for television for a Valentine's episode. So that's why I was booked as a social media expert, and we happened to be talking about love because of the fact it was a Valentine's Day special. But every year I'll share that around Valentine's Day, and because I look pretty much the same, people think I was just on TV. So think about the power of, let's say you were on ABC, NBC, CBS, CW, Fox, whatever the station is, and you share those with people on your social media, on your website. Maybe you put them into a cycle of once a month. People, even if they saw it the first time, they're not going to remember, because what did you say? People are bombarded with more than 100,000 words a day. They're not going to remember, but they're going to go note, oh, she's on TV. Again, authority, credibility, celebrity. And then you can tell people about it. And again, it's not anything that's, they call it a humble brag when you share this stuff, but no one's going to think anything about it other than, wow, she was on TV, or he was on TV. Isn't that cool? And then you earn the right to say, as seen on. When I do press releases and they're picked up in ABC, NBC, CBS, I don't say as seen on, I say as featured in. There's a difference, because if you're seen on TV, that's the truth. You were on TV. If you're featured in a magazine, an online newspaper, then you're in. You're like an article. You always have to think in terms of, if this was the real world, how would you present this? Versus the virtual world. So I think that's important. So that's why I have the free giveaway of the How to Get Yourself Booked on TV,
Yeah, let's
because
share that again.
you can be on TV. And again, don't look at it as a one and done. Again,
Right.
you're on TV. Use that video of your TV appearance in a press release and share it. You take that and maybe you chop it up into different segments or sound bites. There's so much that you can do, or now you can take it and turn it into a blog. Maybe you expand on your talking points, because when you're on TV, you normally choose 3 to 5 talking points and you just expand on those. And again, you could end up using your TV appearance as the basis of a blog or a book.
Right.
So
right.
a lot to do with that. And
Yeah.
then
Well, we're going to have to go, unfortunately. So much great information. So everyone, the free gift here is Be on TV, and it's a flip book. So it's a digital book. So it's a great book. So just go to mybook.link flipbook, and then 60. It's mybook.link /flipbook /60B4 DL =1. It's on our show notes, so don't worry about it. Just click it and go right in and get it. We want to make sure that you get Tami's book, and it's 5 ways to go beyond the bestseller for impact, influence, and income. And we want to thank you so much for being on the show here today. We are so sorry that it's that we have to close out, but thank you. Any last words, Tami?
I just want to give you one last thing that you can do with your book or your podcast. You can get on other people's stages. Use it to get on other people's stages so that you can have more impact, influence, and income.
Good. I agree.
Yeah. Collaboration is important, and definitely learn from the experts. And that's what we have done here today with Tami, and it's Patzer. It's Patzer. Definitely reach out to her because she has a wealth of information. She's just a sliver here today, so you don't want to miss out. And email her at TAMARA, and it's her last name PATZER @gmail.com. And again, her website is Tami, TAMI, her last name PATZER.com. You guys are listening to Link to Expert Goodreads Author's Corner. I am one of your hosts, Cece Schatz. I have my good friend here, Joanne Weiland, with me. You are listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network on the newsstreamingnetwork.com, home of Going Bold. We want to thank you for joining us here today, and we hope that you catch us again next time. Bye for now.